All right, good evening. This is Jack Neal from Jack Neal Games, coming to you from Central New York. Cold night, but definitely a good night to get some gaming in. I wanted to show the physical version of the game real quick because that lends its way into showcasing what might be some cool stuff for different formats that people may want for either doing print and play or perhaps getting in on the limited edition that I ended up doing. It was a 50 copy run, and awesome stuff is that this is one of the two that are left. So it's been really good. It started out with our print and play with the single player sheet and just straight up, the donation way that way. And we ended up moving on to the limited edition and working with some retailers and also doing shipping out directly. So between all that, from all those sources, I was able to get this game out. And I am indebted to everyone that supported the project. And again, I didn't know that it was going to work out the way that it was going to work out. So special thanks to Unplugged Gaming in Manlius and Just Games Rochester. Phenomenal shop. The comic shop up in Oswego, New York. They made me feel right at home too. I got to meet a lot of people at various demo tables, some that had never even seen a train game before, some that had some solo players, some multiplayer games. We had some good tables going, and the game really held up well, and everybody had a good time. So you can't ask for anything else in terms of being an indie designer. So good stuff. And again, thank you so much. So real quick, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. So the limited edition was plastic clamshell version. Front had whoops, there we go. A little bit harder to see because of the light that I got going on, but it's the yeah. So it was like the green slash that ended up being, I guess, what my trademark is. On the back had the the component picture, description, everything that you had inside, UPC codes, QR codes, choking hazard, all the fun stuff. So that was really cool. And if you open this guy up, you have the clamshell part that comes out, and so you had the 44 or 50. Also play the game, read the story. Had a demo for us too, so that was cool too. But anyhow, so we have the limited edition stuff there. You always need your silica pack because it's a board game. Retail version at 9 dice because multiplayer needs a set of 3 for everybody. Dry erase, something to hold everything together. The eraser that I ended up using for the game ended up being that. Thought that was really cool. The retail version of the game had a saddle-bound instruction book that I ended up putting together. The multiplayer is taught first because it actually lends itself easier to teaching the solo, even though this was a solo game to begin with. So that was kind of cool to do. We have player aid like anybody else, and then the star of the show was the 5x7 double-sided art. So we had, for the demo, we had New York State because that's where we are. And so similar to the solo game, you have your engine track and your round track, and you have your map that's here. And then inside of here, well, first off, you put these cards inside these top loaders so that you can treat it as a proper roll and write. The company board and the player boards, so this was the tally board here, and this right here is the company board. So the idea is you have this out, and the map, and you play the game. At the tables with multiplayer is kind of cool because people were, they sort of just had to, you'd pass these around a little bit if you really needed them, but you didn't always need them, which was kind of cool. So, the map itself would be drawn on in every which way, and it was really a tactile experience. It's a small board game, but it works in this format really well. So with the new version that's going to be out, the art that's going to be for this is just a little bit different. Not too much though. There's a little more texturing involved, a little bit more detail in here. It's going to be a little bit higher quality than what I have, just because on home printers for print and play for this game, you don't really need it, but you actually do need a little bit more detail for shining through the top loaders that are here. So again, this is just very, very rough at the moment because it just honestly just whipped it up before the filming tonight. So you'll see everything sort of goes together nicely. And as part of the version of the game that will be, for the expansion, you're going to have 4 maps regardless. You're going to have UK, you're going to have Germany, you're going to have Southeast United States, and you're going to have Maine. And the print and play version, which will be free, and I will include 5x7s as well, of the lower ink style of things. So similar to how these old school game version of the sheets were before. I actually prefer playing on the low ink version myself. It just seems like a cleaner layout for me myself, but not everybody likes that. And from the downloads that were from print and play, it ended up being roughly 60-40, 70-30 with full color over low ink, but it's okay. Easy enough to take care of. But the idea is that you'll have that version of the game. For the maps themselves, that'll be in that style. So United Kingdom, right there. You have some unique powers that are for UK. UK will be the beginner map on this. Some of the powers are pretty straightforward. But for example, like with Company 1, which is the London and South Wales, they start out with 2 engines and 2 tracks, and they start out way over here. So there's a little bit of shifting on some of the company powers in the expansion. Southeast, which we're going to play tonight. I'm going to show the short line rules off, and this map doesn't have company powers per se, other than trying to fulfill destination bonuses. So kind of similar to Ticket to Ride, except you don't get penalized if you don't get there. So a lot of good railroad history there. The other maps, see if I got them on me, because I thought I was being sharp. Yep, I did. Germany's right here. Germany's kind of a fun map because, again, so Company 1 on this map can actually start up in the coast up here. So it's a little bit of a different layout. It's a little more open. You have blue squares, blue cities, which are, you don't need bypasses. You just sort of go through them. You have off-track areas on here, which are kind of cool too. And the engine track also too on these maps too. Typically, not always, at least in Germany and UK, the engine track is slightly different. So in Germany, you end up having like basically you're a little bit more accelerated, and you have a 6-engine way at the end. On the UK map, which I had up here a minute ago, the engine track actually starts out at a 1. And then gets up to a 5. Your engines don't rust till you're 2. The other cool thing about these maps is that, again, I changed the format of them so they're actually portrait instead of landscape, and that was really challenging to go through and figure out to do too. So, so there's that map, and then the final one is Maine, which again, so in theory, it probably looks closer to that. Had to fit it out this way, but this also has the short lines, which are leased lines, and I'll go into that on the playthrough. And definitely more of a tighter map in general. More just some oddball company powers, like Company 6. You use Capital Reserve at a 2-to-1 ratio. So because this company in particular can have harder builds, you have a little more leeway when you're using your wilds on your Capital Reserve to go through and actually bounce around the map. So that part's that was kind of neat to make. You have a huge, this cluster of hubs here makes things really, really tight, and it's just each map plays plays differently, plays uniquely, and it's been very cool playing each one of these maps out and trying to match out to the history. So in the expansion itself, the rules that are here, 3 pages only. It's enough, but and honestly, I could have broke it down a little bit. I did end up throwing designer notes in. So the variants I'm going to show off. I'm going to show everything tonight. I'm going to show the bot script flip, which I think actually really adds to the game, and it's the simplest one. Market panic is when you basically, the first company to end up going all the way to the end of the maintenance track, the next time that they try doing something, their value gets cut in half. Everybody gets a maintenance bubble, and then that's the end of the game. So that adds a timing element to what's in the multiplayer, and it actually works pretty well for solo. The other thing that I added as well, called a sanction pass, where basically it's similar to dumping stock inside of 18xx. So the idea is that, again, with certain conditions, you can drop the value of a stock and make shares cheaper to buy in that company. Of course, in solo, because Reginald and Xavier cheat, it ends up being sort of a thing where they don't pay the penalty for having the stock value, or the wrap values go down, stock value go down. So that added a fair amount of bite to the solo game. The final rule that is added, and it's only on those 2 maps, the one we're going to see today, is short lines, which are lease track, and the idea behind those is, and you'll see on here blank spots where you don't have any cost for the track, but the initials for whoever is going to be taking said track will end up basically buying a share, and there are only so many to do, and you put in their initials, and if you're the president of that company, you get to use that track. If you are not the president of that company and you try to score it, you don't get to use that track, and that track is used for joining up different parts of the map, and it is definitely situational, but the idea behind that was to match the nature of the Southeast and Maine with short line rail and just unique little private companies that were in use. So that part sort of emulates the start game of 1830 and other rail titles like that. So, but beyond that, you've got your, and then in the instructions themselves, I have the history on some of the maps, a little bit of strategy, and then of course credits and acknowledgments, and that could honestly be a whole other page in and of itself. So that's what the expansion will be. So the format that you're going to see, this will be free. It is the low ink, however, it's still, to me, absolutely playable, absolutely wonderful. Between doing the top loaders and trying things that way versus this is honestly still my best way to play. But you'll have those maps. This will be free. The color version on maps will be $4 a piece, or $10 for all 4. Title or not the title, but the main cover concept is roughly like this. You'll notice it's a lot more blue. It's going to be 5x7, so actually technically this is too big. If it was going to be part of the clamshell, it would be this size, roughly. So again, I ended up cutting things very, very close tonight, just to sort of get things on camera. So, and then the physical version, which also, again, the other part of this is all these 5x7s that you see, they will be available in low ink for free as well. So that's the supported format. So if you decide to go out and buy some of the 5x7 top loaders and basically just sort of equip on your own, you have pretty close to the same experience. It's the same logistical feel, and since the rules are out there for the limited edition and the expansion, you can really go forth and do it. It is a cool way to play, and it's a matter of just going in there and enjoying it if you wish to do it that way. The physical edition itself, where there's going to be a few other quality of life changes, mostly for multiplayer. Looking into trying to get dice screens because there is a blind bid at the beginning of the game, and or not the beginning of the game, each turn for turn order, and dice are drafted, so it would be good to have that, and then a couple cards for player order as well. Right now, you're right on the boards, and that's the only part, ironically, that's a little odd. So those are the other quality of life things that it'll fit inside that cellophane 5x7. It won't get a clamshell just because you don't need it. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's pretty cool. If there's no interest, then I won't do it. But I've been really, really just impressed and awestruck and really happy with all the support, either through print and play, retail, direct, and getting to know a bunch of people and getting to sit down at some tables, play the games, and had some people that have sort of been following me since Spindle Rails back in like 2008, 2009. So it's just been really great to have all that support, and I'm very thankful for it. So given all that, I'm going to wrap this part of the video up. I'm going to do the actual playthrough for round 1 on the next shot. So hang around if you want to go see at least how that works with some of the rules. If not, no problem at all. Thank you very, very much. And as always, thank you. Good night.